We are now ready to add the code for signing in with Google. But before we do that, I want to show you a diagram to explain the sign-in flow that we are about to implement. So over here, we have our app running on our phone. And what we do is to make a request to sign in with an authentication provider, such as Google or Facebook. And if everything goes well, in response to this request, we get something called an access token. So by performing steps 1 and 2 on this diagram, we are signed in with Google or Facebook. However, what we want to do is to sign in with Firebase so that we can link our Google or Facebook account credentials to get a Firebase user. And the way we do that is by sending a sign-in request to Firebase, and we pass in the access token that we had just received. And if everything goes well, then Firebase will respond with a Firebase user. So the process for signing in with a third-party provider is a bit more complex than what we have done to sign in anonymously. And with this knowledge, we can get back to Android Studio and start adding the code. And to do that, we can open our auth.dart file. And here we want to add a new method to sign in with Google. So this is going to return a future of type user. And we're going to call this method sign in with Google. And it's going to be an async method like this. And inside here, we are going to start by typing 2 lines. So first of all, we're going to create an object of type Google sign in. And this is going to be called Google sign in equals Google sign in. And in order to use this object, we need to import Google sign in.dart. And then to sign in, we are going to create a Google sign in account, Google account equals await Google sign in.sign-in, like this. And this is the code that will let the user sign in with their Google account. And we will see how this works in the app a little later. And then we're going to type if Google account is not null. And this is a condition that will be true if the user has completed the sign-in process successfully. So inside this block, we want to find a way to get the access token. And to do that, we need to make one more call. And we can type in Google sign in authentication Google Auth equals await Google account dot authentication, like this. Okay, so we are nearly there, and now let's see if we can make a call to Firebase authentication to get an auth result. So here I'm going to type final auth result equals await Firebase auth dot sign in with credential. And here we need to pass in something called a Google Auth provider dot get credential, and this takes an ID token and an access token. So to these parameters, we are going to pass Google Auth dot ID token and Google Auth dot access token, like this. And I'm going to quickly reformat my code as well, like this. Okay, so this call over here gives us an auth result, and we can use this to return user from Firebase with auth result.user, like this. So the code that we have just written implements the sign-in flow that I was showing you in this diagram. However, we must make sure that we handle any errors as well. So first of all, we have an if statement over here to check if we have a Google account, and we need to add an else branch. So here I can type else, and then inside it we are going to throw an error. So in here I can type throw and then platform exception, like this. And this is an object that takes 2 arguments, a code, and here I'm just going to type in error aborted by user, and it also takes a message. And here I can type sign in aborted by user, like this. And in order to use platform exception, we need to import services.dart. By the way, we will look at platform exception more in detail later on in the course, but for now, all you need to know is that it takes a code and a message that should be human readable. Finally, there is one more condition that we need to check, and that is that we can only sign in with Google if we have both the ID token and the access token. So inside here, I can type if Google Auth.access token is not null and Google Auth.id token is not null. Then I'm going to create the auth result and return the user from Firebase like this. And then I'm going to have an else branch here as well. And here I'm going to throw another platform exception. So in this case, I'm just going to copy this code and paste it over here. And then I'm going to replace this with error missing Google Auth token. And the message will be something like missing Google Auth token, like this. So by adding these checks and throwing some errors, we can make sure that we handle all possible error cases that could happen in this flow. Okay, so our signing with Google method is now complete and we are nearly ready to use it in our signing page. And by the way, if we wanted, here we could have used final when declaring all these variables. And I have chosen to use this syntax instead, just so that we can see the actual types that are returned by the Google signing APIs. But for consistency, I think it's best if we just use final, like this. So I'm going to copy this and use it here and here as well. And then I can format my code once again. Okay, so the last thing that I need to do on this file is to declare this method on the base class as well. And because this will be an override, I can add this annotation over here. And then I can take this code, I'm gonna copy it, and over here I'm gonna paste it like this. Okay, so let's continue on the next video.